What can I tell you about death? I don't know. A few days ago, Thanksgiving, my dad was perfectly healthy, perfectly fine. He came in for Thanksgiving. He had had a colonoscopy done. They found a mass. He was going to have a surgery. He made it sound like it was going to be in and out, real simple. No need to worry. No need to come to Little Rock to check on him or anything. Stay home. It's going to be okay. It's just going to be a simple procedure. Well, he goes in and he has the surgery, and a couple of days later, they send him home. And a few days later, he was in pain. He was in a lot of pain, and so he called an ambulance. And time the ambulance got him, they got him to the hospital. He coded, and they supposedly revived him and brought him back, and went ahead and went to perform an emergency surgery on him. Apparently, there was a leakage. They left a hole or something in his intestines. They didn't close him back up right. There was a hole, and so he ended up septic. And by the time I got the call that this was even going on, they've done and revived him 3 times, and he was gone. The only thing keeping him alive was the machines. And I got down there to see him, and I just couldn't process the fact that he was gone. I just couldn't. I couldn't go there. So I said, we're gonna give him another night. He'll come through. He's strong. He's strong. And I come home from the hospital that night, and I sit here, and I had come to terms with reality that my dad's on machines. He's not alive. He's not there anymore. And I sat and wrote out his obituary and made a playlist of songs for his funeral. And I went back down there the next morning, and they were in a hurry. They wanted to rush me to pull the plug, and they needed that room. They needed that vent. It was the hardest thing I ever did. My dad breathed for 30 minutes on his own. I was sitting there holding his hand when he took his last breath, and I played "Go Rest High on That Mountain" for him. But the only thing that gives me any kind of peace, or that I can tell you that took away the fear of dying from me, is as I was standing there watching my dad take his last breath. It's 30 minutes. He went by 30 minutes breathing on his own. But when he took his last breath, his eyes popped open. They'd been closed this whole time, but his beautiful blue eyes popped open, and they looked at me. And I can't explain to you, they were the most beautifulest color blue, brightest, shiniest blue you ever did see. And whatever he opened his eyes to see, let me tell you, it had to be the most beautifulest thing he had ever seen, or it had to be the most peacefulest thing he had ever seen, because he opened his eyes, and whatever he's seen overcame this most peacefulest look on his face. I've never seen my dad look so peaceful before in my life. And that gave me comfort. I knew at that moment that he was home with the Lord, that he was where he is supposed to be. He was healthy, and he could run circles around any 5-year-old. I mean, he was active as can be. He was always doing something. He was healthy. There was nothing wrong with him. The mass that they took out of his colon turned out to be stage 2 colon cancer, but he wasn't suffering anything from it. He didn't know he had a mass there. He wasn't in pain. He wasn't sick. There was no reason for him to have the colonoscopy other than his age and time to get one. He had some years left in him. He wasn't ready to go. He had a lot of life left in him still, and he was taken from us too soon. His neighbors, one of his neighbors is a nursing student, and she wanted to play doctor, I guess, and started having him taking him to get tested for everything else. She done had him having surgery on his eyes. Then she had scheduled this colon surgery, and I don't know what they had planned for him next. But long story short, they killed my daddy. You know, it's been a hard one for me to swallow. I'm angry. I'm mad. They didn't do something right in that surgery that caused a leakage. Something went wrong. I don't know if it was a med student that he was practiced for the med students that day. If a med student got to practice on his surgery, or if an actual doctor that had knowledge did the surgery. But there should have been no reason for him to be rushed back for emergency surgery and be gone right now. I just got done paying for his funeral arrangements. I raised a little bit of money, and me and my kids come up with the rest to pay for his funeral arrangements. He was my only living parent. My mom, I lost her 10 years ago. My daddy was my world. He was my rock. And I don't know how I'm going to make it without him. But I can hear him telling me, stay on schedule, keep working, keep doing what you're going to do. And I cleaned 2 houses yesterday just to try to make money so I would have enough money to pay for his stuff today. Um, I don't know how to live without my dad. I don't know how to do this. And this is grief at its finest. I don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. I don't know how I'm going to get through any of this. It was also his granddaughter. It was my daughter's 13th birthday the day he died. And she lost her dad when she turned 6, and she loses her papa when she turns 13. And she always went and spent every 2 weeks of her summer with her papa. He was our only living grandparent. So this is a tough time for us, a really tough time for us. So if you're grieving and you're hurting, I understand your pain. I'm open to any suggestions, any advice anybody has to give me along my way. I'll try to share my journey as I go through this and try to process having to go through life now with no parents. Um, it's really hard. He was 67, but he had a 5-year old spirit. He had the energy of a 5-year old. He got around fine. He had nothing wrong with him. He never went to doctors. He never did any of that. So why he allowed his neighbors to talk him into going and getting all these tests, I'll never know for the life of me. I wish he would have never went and got any tests, because we'd still have him alive here today. And doctors get away with making mistakes and killing people every day, all the time. And they cover it up so it's not known that it was their mess up. They are legal murderers. Do not go to a doctor and do not have a surgery unless you just absolutely have to, because they're killing people on purpose for COVID numbers, because they get so much money if they kill so many. So be aware, and don't go for any procedures right now. Not while we're in the middle of this pandemic. It's not the time. Doctors are purposely killing people right now, and I know y'all think I'm crazy, but I'm not. They get away with it all day long. They can make a mistake and kill a person, and it never come out that it was their mistake. They never get held accountable for anything. They always write it off. They are covered and protected by insurances, and it's unfair and it's unright. Innocent people lose their lives at the hands of a medical student, because they're using that person for training. They're using your body for training for a med student who's going to make a mistake and kill you. And it's not okay. Something has got to be done.